The Australia of 50,000 years ago existed in a state of perfect chaos. Unlike today's world where mammals dominate the food chain, this forgotten chapter in Earth's history saw reptiles reign supreme. The rules of survival were written in blood and enforced by creatures that defied imagination. This was not the continent known for its dangerous but manageable wildlife. This was Australia at its most ruthless, a proving ground where evolution had crafted killing machines unlike anything seen elsewhere on the planet. The ancient climate cycled between extreme drought and brief periods of abundance, forcing its inhabitants to become extraordinarily efficient predators or remarkably resilient prey. The geography itself conspired to create unique evolutionary pressure. Isolated from other continents for millions of years, Australia became a laboratory for biological innovations, unbound by the constraints found elsewhere. Mountains eroded into plains, forests expanded and contracted, and shallow seas intermittently flooded vast regions, all while its inhabitants adapted, transformed, and evolved into forms that would seem impossible if their fossils didn't prove otherwise. For the first humans who arrived on these shores, every step beyond the coastline was a journey into danger. Every rustle in the vegetation could herald death. Every shadow might conceal a predator against which there was little defense. Yet remarkably, these early pioneers survived, even thrived, in this land that seemed designed to eliminate any creature not born to its brutal ways. The apex predators of ancient Australia defied categorization. Consider the quinkana, not simply a crocodile that occasionally ventured onto shore, but a true terrestrial predator that happened to wear a crocodile's form. Standing clear of the ground on long, powerful legs, the quinkana moved across the landscape with a speed that belied its reptilian nature. Unlike modern crocodilians that lumber awkwardly on land, the quinkana's hoof-like toes and straight legs allowed it to sprint after prey. Its flat tail, useless for swimming but perfect for balance, betrayed its terrestrial lifestyle. At 3 meters long, weighing over 200 kilograms, an average quinkana matched a modern American alligator in mass. But some grew to 6 meters, 20 feet of muscle and hunger that could outrun most of its prey. More terrifying still were the quinkana's teeth, not the conical spikes of modern crocodiles, but compressed, serrated blades like those of predatory dinosaurs. These xiphont teeth didn't simply puncture, they sliced through flesh and muscle with each bite, removing chunks of meat from victims that often outweighed the predator itself. Each attack was a brutal affair of precision and power, leaving wounds that could not heal. But even the quinkana existed in a state of vigilance, for it shared this harsh landscape with the megalania, a monitor lizard of such proportions that even modern scientists struggle to agree on its exact size. At minimum, it stretched 3.5 meters, weighing as much as a modern reindeer. The largest specimens may have reached nearly 8 meters, rivaling the longest anacondas in length while dwarfing them eightfold in weight. The megalania possessed all the predatory adaptations of modern monitor lizards but scaled to nightmarish proportions. Recurved teeth gripped prey with inescapable efficiency. Powerful limbs armed with scythe-like claws could disembowel with a single swipe. But perhaps most insidious was its likely venomous bite, an evolutionary inheritance from its modern relatives. Unlike the quick death delivered by some venoms, the megalania's toxic saliva would have prevented blood from clotting. Wounds remained open, victims weakened through blood loss and infection. Even escape from its jaws offered no salvation, only a slower, more agonizing end as the venom worked its inexorable course through the bloodstream. The true horror of ancient Australia wasn't found in any single predator, but in the inescapable reality that danger existed in every ecological niche. The land was a perfectly constructed trap from which there was no sanctuary, no reprieve. Consider the wonambi, a serpent that grew to 6 meters in length. Unlike modern constrictors, this prehistoric snake couldn't unhinge its jaws to consume prey whole. Nature's solution to this limitation was more terrifying than the problem itself. The wonambi would ambush its victims near water sources, using its immense muscular coils not just to suffocate but to literally tear its prey apart. Its teeth and powerful body worked in concert to dismember victims, sometimes disemboweling them in a feeding process that defied the clean efficiency of modern predators. For early human inhabitants, death by constriction may have been among the more common fates, as modern studies suggest that in some indigenous populations, attacks by large snakes remain a significant cause of mortality to this day. Yet perhaps the most unexpected predator in this land of reptilian dominance was a mammal, the thylacoleo, or marsupial lion. Though similar in size to a wild boar or at most a female lion, this relative of the docile koala possessed the strongest bite pound for pound of any mammal known to science. Its skull, with reduced brain case, allowed for dense musculature and sturdy bone structure that generated bite forces comparable to big cats 2.5 times its size. This enabled the thylacoleo to take down prey 15 times heavier than itself, a feat made possible by its unique dentition. Its enlarged incisors pierced deep into flesh, while specialized premolars that resembled razor-sharp blades severed the victim's windpipe, spinal cord, and arteries simultaneously. Death came not in minutes, but seconds, perhaps the most merciful end in a continent where suffering was the common currency of survival. In this world where predators evolved to such terrifying efficiency, even the herbivores developed into formidable beings. The diprotodon, a distant relative of today's wombat, grew to the size of an Asian elephant, weighing nearly 4 tons. Its vegetarian lifestyle belied a bite force of 11,000 newtons at its rear molars, enough to shatter a human femur with casual ease. Towering birds known as genyornis stood taller than humans at over 2 meters, with quarter-ton bodies supported by massive bones that gave them both durability and the potential for devastating kicks. Though primarily plant eaters, their beaks and claws would have made formidable weapons when threatened. This was the Australia that greeted the first human arrivals, a continent where every ecological niche was filled with creatures designed by evolution to survive at any cost. Yet remarkably, these early pioneers not only survived, but eventually thrived. Archaeological evidence suggests that these ancient humans hunted many of the megafauna that once seemed to render the continent uninhabitable. Within thousands of years, many of these terrifying creatures vanished from the landscape. The megalania, the thylacoleo, the diprotodon, all faded into extinction. Was this the result of changing climate, of hunting pressure from a new apex predator, or some combination of factors that science has yet to fully understand? The evidence remains contested, the full story hidden in the fossils and middens left behind by both predator and prey. What remains certain is that the Australia we know today, home to 20 of the world's 25 deadliest snakes, countless venomous spiders, lethal marine creatures, and even birds occasionally capable of killing humans, represents a tamer version of its former self. The saltwater crocodile that instills terror in modern visitors is but a shadow of the predators that once dominated this ancient landscape. Perhaps the most chilling realization is not what ancient Australia was, but what it reveals about our own species. For in a land where every element of nature seemed designed for destruction, humans, physically weaker than many of the continent's inhabitants, emerged victorious. In the story of prehistoric Australia lies a darker truth, that in the contest between specialized predators and adaptable intelligence, the greatest predator of all may be the one that carries not claws or venom, but simply the capacity to outthink its environment. In the end, the most terrifying creature to walk the nightmare landscape of ancient Australia wasn't the megalania, the quincana, or the thylacoleo. It was us.